To everybody in the live. Thank you guys for coming in. Aqua says, if you've been on it for 30 years, you should get none. Whoa. Going back into the comments. Whoa, cutting edge. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Shout out to Cutting Edge. I gotta scroll all the way down. I gotta be a person of my word. Cutting Edge says, and thank you so much for the super sticker. The emergency funds are for a disaster. If Trump does that, they're gonna sue him. It's like an insurance, and he can't do it with the shutdown. Absolutely correct. Bingo. This is why I want people to understand this. When it comes down to a lot of lawsuits going on right now. I don't think you guys understand the levels of this that's going on when it comes down to a number of sanctuary states. Yes, I said it. It is what it is. A lot of sanctuary states are currently suing the Trump administration. Also, when it comes down to, a lot of people want this current administration to use the U.S. Treasury contingency fund. But just like Cutting Edge stated, what's going to happen to FEMA then, right? When you have actual disasters that happen here in America, not only here, but I just want people to just take a seat and think about all of this, right? If we provide and use the contingency fund in the U.S. Treasury now for the SNAP recipients, the 42 million SNAP recipients, then what is going to be available if there is a disaster? Shout out to Cutting Edge. And people, don't, this is why I say, don't fall for the flim flam. Do not fall for the flim flam. And when I say the flim flam, I think that Democrats refusing to sign the CR deal is a form of deflect. I feel that another form of deflect is when Nancy Pelosi, 85-year-old Nancy Pelosi, she did a video yesterday stating that she's not going to run again. I think that's deflect. I think she could have waited on that. If her term ends in the next 2 years, January 2027, why are you talking about that now? Right? Why speak on that now? So I think it's just a form of deflect. Now, when it comes down to this quote unquote with the SNAP, okay, I want people, and before I begin, let me highlight Cutting Edge, because Cutting Edge always actually put people in the quote unquote banner across the screen when they actually provide super stickers. And shout out to Cutting Edge. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I'm putting you in the quote unquote banner right now as we speak. But thank you guys. If you would like to support the channel and your name to be highlighted, like I'm highlighting Cutting Edge 8293 right now. We do accept super stickers. I want to make sure I highlight it. And shout out to everybody in the live. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Make sure I spell your name right. And it is in the banner right now. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Now, going back into the live, yes, we do have a live poll. Should President Trump be impeached? 51% says no. Making America great again. 44% says yes. 5% says I plead the fifth. And thank you guys for coming in. Hello, Eric. Eric says, can't sue a president. Are you sick? Whoa. What do you guys do? Don't argue now. Wait a minute now. Wait, please don't argue in the chat. But thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. And we respect everybody's views and opinion in the chat as long as you're respectful. Eric says Nancy Pelosi belongs to the mafia. Whoa, whoa. But thank you guys for coming in. Our Savior says none of them. Eric says that should be the biggest mistake ever. You didn't do anything to be impeached. Shout out to Eric. Tamara says, Eric, why Democrats and Republicans both go to Walmart? Oh my goodness. There you go with the Walmart. Oh my God. I'm not going to Tamara. Hello, beautifully said. He just needs to be handled. He just needs to handle things a little better. Don't cut off snaps. Don't cut off snap, but decrease it monthly until they're able to come off. Now, it's deeper than that. That is why I feel that the whole thing needs to be reformed when it comes down to Affordable Care Act. Yes, when it comes down to SNAP, when it comes down to HUD housing, it is levels to that. And that is why this current administration said, I'm going to put it back to the states. And look what's going on right now when it comes down to these states. Because he has applied pressure on a lot of these states here in America, right? Now these states, what they have done, now they're filing lawsuits against Trump administration. They have filed lawsuits. Now, I will say this, when it comes down to President Trump, I do feel that moving forward, just like he signed an executive order, well, not executive order, it was a deal. It's a lot of people are feeling we don't really care about the quote unquote weight loss drugs. We don't care about that. Why should I care about the weight loss drugs? Why should I care about that? I need food. I need a job. I need to live to pay. I need a third job so I can pay my car insurance, so I can pay my rent, my house note, my mortgage. These are things that people are talking about. And for those that don't know, if you know, you know. If you don't know, we're going to talk about it. Okay. What happened also yesterday? Okay. There was an announcement yesterday by President Trump. For those that don't know, he did make a deal when it came down to weight loss drugs being more affordable now. And when it comes down to the drugs that we're talking about GLP-1 drugs compared to Ozempic. When it comes down to pricing GLP-1 drugs, we're talking about now it is going to be less than $197, less than that, compared to Ozempic costing $1,400. Now, I want to say this, when it comes down to these drugs as far as weight loss, I want people to understand this. Both of these medications are intended for people who are, well, it was intended, okay, primarily intended for people who are diabetic, okay? But, you know, as soon as, just like technology and AI has advanced, more people they want something quick and fast to lose weight. They want to lose it fast. Notice what I said, fast. And when it comes down to these medications, this is one way. These medications, it will help you lose. Some people lose weight more fast. But I want people to understand this, there are risks when it comes down to these medications. So, yes, President Trump did make a deal yesterday pertaining to these medications, these weight loss drugs, making it more affordable. The GLP-1 drug more affordable, right? But I want to emphasize this. Please do not depend or run to some type of pill to assist you in losing weight. Now, if you are diabetic, that's another case. That's a whole other case. That's another case. But my thing is this, find other avenues, such as changing your diet, right? Changing your diet. Doing something as small as walking goes a long way. And I'm not trying to, downplay anybody. If you want to take Ozempic, go. If you have $1,400, because that's how much Ozempic is. Because according to this deal President Trump signed yesterday, it will assist in dropping the price for people who receive Medicare. Medicare will cover GLP-1 medications for obesity, with patient copays set at roughly $50. Okay. And this will all be on the government website called none other than Trump RX website. So if you want to go down that right, that's on you. Now, when it comes down to the Ozempic, $1,400, that's a lot. That's a lot. And the reason I say that's a lot, I say it's a lot because you're putting your trust in a medication that comes with, I would say that, just like with anything, it has, side effects, right? It has side effects. And this is why I say, before you get into that avenue, exercise, change your diet. But thank you guys for coming in. You're listening to Politic Graham. Hit that like button. Shout out to everybody in the live. And we do have a live poll. Should President Trump be impeached? 51% says no, make America great again. What are you talking about? I'm trying to see now. Don't be coming in here. Why y'all think you're? Wait a minute. I'm trying. Look, it's some things I cannot repeat in the live. Who are you calling lazy? We're not doing it in here. Ooh, no. Tamara says pills are a treatment. This bill is propagating our diet of treatment and new regulations. It's not a cure. You're absolutely right. It's not a cure. This is why I'm asking people, please try exercising. If you cannot exercise, if you do nothing else, something small as changing your diet goes a long, long way. Cosmic says America was founded on Christendom. Whether you want to admit it or not, all laws are based on moral code, which we get from the Bible. Try reading the Bible and the Constitution. Oh, Cosmic, I already took care of them. Cosmic, you look, I took care of them, Cosmic. Shout out to Cosmic. Hannibal says trickle-down economics isn't a cure. And thank you. Yes, beautifully said. You said it best. I took care of them. I took care of that person, Cosmic, and beautifully said. I surely did, and I'll do it again. If you come back in here again, I know you still watching. Thank you for watching, but you're not going to disrespect people such as Tamara, Cosmic. You're not going to disrespect people such as beautifully said. You're not going to disrespect people on this platform. And shout out to Georgia Maniac. Georgia Maniac says many saying shots are making. Well, this is why I'm advising people, right? That no matter what, please try to, use other options. Don't lean towards medications just right away when it comes down to dieting. Anyway, dieting You can address that by just doing something small as changing your diet. And I'm standing on that. I'm standing on that. Oh my goodness. Shout out to Narendra. Narendra says, as an Indian, I need to apologize for the IRS scammers. Oh, wait a minute, Narendra. Narendra. I know you're not finna. Wait a minute. You don't support MAMDANI? Wait a minute. Narendra says, as an Indian, I need to apologize for the IRS scammers and MAMDANI. Oh, no. Shout out to Narendra. Maybe I like that. Oh, my goodness. Shout out to Narendra. And how you doing, Narendra? Let me find you, Narendra. But thank you guys for coming in. You're listening to Politigram. Jared says those weight loss medication are only a temporary fix. You're absolutely right. And sometimes those weight loss medications can make matters worse. It can make matters worse. Our Savior says if you have 200 for a whole month, sometimes you're stuck eating. Whoa. Are you talking about SNAP? Because shout out to Our Savior, because this is why, and I know people don't want me to talk about it. They were speaking about changing when it comes down to food that SNAP recipients should receive. Because when it comes down to SNAP, I want people to understand this. You know, it's fresh food, but also it comes with snacks as well, right? That you can actually use your EBT for. Also, another issue, and I'm glad, shout out to Our Savior. Shout out to Our Savior about this. But when it comes down to SNAP, and I did a video about this, but a lot of businesses that sell hot food, that sell basically items that is not supposed to be used for SNAP, they're actually allowing SNAP recipients to use their card to buy a big pan of crab legs, corn. I'm serious. Crab legs, corn, gumbo in a pan. And I'm speaking about places that I know here in Georgia. And it's one place, I'm not going to say his name, but he is a millionaire because of taking advantage. I say taking advantage of the system. Why? Because he has a cupcake shop where actual SNAP recipients can use their food stamps to buy a big cake or cupcakes, pies. But thank you guys for coming in, going back into the live. And hit that like button. Shout out to everybody in the live. Going back into the comments. Hello, Joy. Joy says the housing market is slowing down. Home sales starting to stall, and home prices are freezing up. Recession, depression is around the corner. Now, shout out to Joy Carey, because that is one thing a lot of people are wondering because of what's going on. This is why President Trump is stating that, tariffs are going to provide, in his word, national security. And he hopes that Supreme Court justice, don't find that his tariffs are illegal. Because if it is found illegal, shout out to Joe, I really believe that is what is going to happen, especially if President Trump and his administration will have to pay, these billions and billions of dollars back out to these various countries that he has applied, tariffs against. But thank you guys for coming in, and shout out to Joy. Oh, thank you so much, Georgia Maniac. I gotta highlight you. Georgia Maniac, thank you so much for the super sticker. Georgia Maniac says, have a great day, everyone. You are wonderful person. Oh, thank you so much, Georgia Maniac. And thank you. And you are wonderful too. I appreciate it. You guys making my day. I appreciate that so much. And thank you guys for coming in. Had to make sure I highlight Georgia Maniac. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I'm trying to see if I put you in the banner. I want to make sure I put everybody in the banner who supports the channel. And thank you so much, you guys. And in the meantime, in between time, thank you guys for the support. Shout out to Georgia Maniac. Let me make sure I put you in the banner going across the screen, because I always put people in the banner if they support the platform with super sticker. So shout out to Georgia Maniac. You have a great, phenomenal Friday and even better weekend, and keep being that positive energy that you always are. Let me make sure I spelled your name right before I highlight this banner, put you in this banner. Shout out to Georgia Maniac. Let's go. Shout out to Georgia Maniac. And thank you guys for coming in. You're listening to Politic Graham. Matt says, I sold my house yesterday. Shout out to Matt. Eric says, it'll break our country. He wouldn't have to pay back the money. Woo! Eric says, you are a wonderful person, but you're misinformed. Let's talk about it, Eric. Go ahead, Eric. Look, educate me. Inform me, educate me. Matt says, why should he be impeached? I am stating, okay, I think you're just coming in. This is a question, right? Now, a lot of people are saying that he should be impeached, and a lot of other people are saying, no, he shouldn't be impeached. If anything, the ones that are saying it should be impeached, such as these sorry, can't get right politicians, okay, that find everything wrong that Trump is doing, but don't want to call themselves out, they need to be impeached. Eric says, you didn't do anything to be impeached. Now, I will say this, for now, President Trump has not conclusively done anything to be impeached. I do feel that some of these politicians, shout out to Senator Kennedy, he said it best, and I want to make sure I read it right. Exactly what he said. He said it best. He stated that these Congress members, they're still upset. They're still upset that Trump won the second term, and now they are taking it out against him with the current shutdown. This is what Senator, and I absolutely agree. I feel that a lot of the Democrats are still in their emotions. Okay, they're still in their emotions because, it's like they're so upset they don't even see the bigger spectrum. The bigger spectrum is you're hurting everybody right now by not signing the CR deal. You're hurting the federal employees that you got mad at up and upset at President Trump when it came down to months ago when he, laid off a number of federal employees. But guess what? Nobody is getting paid right now. A lot of people are not even getting paid. Okay, and one of the big red flags right now that's flying today on Friday, when it comes down to FAA and the Secretary of Transportation, he stated that because we're in this current government shutdown and it's lasting till Friday today, 40 major airports are going to receive major flight cuts. So thank you guys for coming in. You're listening to Politic Graham. And this is why I say, I can concur with Senator Kennedy of Louisiana when he stated that, people are so upset at Trump that they're hurting themselves right now, right? You're so upset at Trump and his administration. You're trying to get back, but you're hurting this current nation as a whole, Congress. So, at this particular point, this is why I may not agree with everything that Senator Kennedy says, right? But I can definitely respect the fact what he stated yesterday. I didn't disagree with nothing. I didn't disagree with anything he said. Yesterday, he handled business. Yesterday, he stated that these Democrats, they need to drink a whole cup of get over it. Get over it. A whole cup of it. Get over it. Okay? And then to top it all off, let's bring it back for those that are just coming in. Shout out to everybody in the live. Kennedy also stated, he brought in two acts. He brought in the first act that stated, and I quote, "No shutdown." One moment, ladies and gentlemen. One moment, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a brief commercial break.
If everybody over here isn't being paid, members of Congress shouldn't be paid.
Free rent, free buses, right? I feel like I'm at an Oprah Winfrey show. You get a car and you get a car. Nothing is free.
The stock market as of Friday has hit many record highs.
Will President Trump be impeached?
New York will remain a city of immigrants.
What I'm saying is that if everybody over here isn't being paid, members of Congress shouldn't be paid.
Free rent, free buses, right? I feel like I'm at an Oprah.
And my apologies, ladies and gentlemen. Now, like I stated, when it comes down to Senator Kennedy of Louisiana, he tried to put in two bills yesterday. It didn't go through. It didn't go through. The first one that he put in was No Shutdown Paycheck Politicians Act, which says while shutdown is happening, politicians in Congress don't get paid, nor should they receive back pay. The second act that he put in is called Withhold Member Pay During Shutdowns Act. And this particular act bill says Congress will only get paid after the shutdown. Now, I absolutely agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Why do I say I agree? Because at the end of the day, if people here are not getting paid when it comes down to federal employees, right? Then why should Congress still be receiving their pay? And for those that are just coming in, the salary for senators is $174,000. And that's a problem. Someone in the comments says, move to Canada, free healthcare. Cosmic says, healthcare in Canada is not free. Now, I will say this, okay? I don't think it's right that, people cross the border to Canada and take advantage of Canada by receiving their benefits, and we need to have that done here. It's not fair to the Canadians. It's not. It's not fair, right? It's not fair. Now, I will say this. Does it help bring Canada money? Heck yes. But at the end of the day, right? We need to have some of those same policies that Canada has and all these other countries have. We need to have those same policies here in America so a lot of people can stop leaving America. Just like a lot of people have stated they're moving from New York City altogether, and because of the current mayor. Well, not current, the elected mayor. He doesn't officially become mayor until January. Okay, he's the elected mayor, and that is MAMDANI. But thank you guys for coming in. You're listening to Politigram. Shout out to everybody in the live. Donald says nothing is free. It will cost you something. Yes, yes, yes. Everything has a price, and I hope people understand that. Even people who are on, people who are on, when it comes down to affordable care, when it comes down to hood housing, everything has a price. Because watch this, in order to still receive, the benefits, when it comes down to hood housing, when it comes down to SNAP and WIC, right? They don't want you to work so many hours. They don't want you to do so much, right? And that's why I feel that's a form of institutionalizing somebody from the outside. You're institutionalizing somebody by, basically telling them, don't work enough, right? Or better yet, well, if you want to still receive the benefits, go to school, but guess what? You don't have to work. How is that helping somebody progress forward? How? But going back into the comments, sorry about that. I think I saw Georgia Maniac. Let me see you, Georgia. Georgia Maniac says, no one should they. Congress gets to fly while poor people can't eat. Let me highlight that. Because it's not right. Joy Carey says, whoever controls the food controls the people. Ooh, Joy. I like that. And, this is why, a lot of people have been questioning, especially with not mine, the elect New York City mayor. I'm trying to find you, Georgia Maniac. Someone in the comments had said it. I forget who it was, but this was in a live earlier. They stated how, start growing your own food. If you can't grow your own food, start saving up. Shout out to Georgia Maniac. Georgia Maniac says, no. No, they should not. Congress should not fly while poor people can't eat. And this is why I stayed, notice Congress members, they're not supporting what Senator Kennedy stated yesterday, right? He stated it's not fair that Congress is still getting paid and they're watching people struggling right now. And I'm glad that he stated, because for those that's asking, I'm glad that he put himself out. He says, and I quote, I have not received and refused to receive a paycheck during the government shutdown. So I can respect him for that. But watch this. Did Richard Blumenthal say that as well? No, he's worth over $100 million. He still doesn't mind receiving his paycheck. And I want people to understand that even when it comes down to Nancy Pelosi, when it comes down to her and her husband being worth allegedly worth $250 million, is she standing out and saying, no, I don't want to receive my salary? Hell no. She doesn't mind making that video. She didn't mind putting that video out yesterday stating that she wasn't going to run again. Mind you, she's 85 years old. But thank you guys for coming in. You're listening to Politigram. In the meantime, shout out to the mod team, shout out to Joy, and shout out to Georgia Maniac for the support. Also, shout out to Cutting Edge for the support today. And if you would like your name to be mentioned in the blue banner going across, we do accept super stickers. And I have to mention this. Yes, we do have a live poll. Should President Trump be impeached? 50% says no, make America great. 45% says yes. 5% says I plead the fifth. And hello, Just Me. Just Me says Congress should get paid the average amount of the area of representation. Ooh, that's deep, Just Me. That is deep. Trainwreck says Congress members need terms. I absolutely agree. They also add Congress members need the House and executive branch should set pay for Congress checks and balances. And see, this is what I think that the Democrats are scared of, right? This is why they are not signing that CR resolution. They're not signing that. They don't want to sign it. They're trying to hold out. They're trying to hold out. Now, some people thought that it would have been a deal after these elections, right? Some people would have thought that. But guess what? Friday is here. We're in day 38 of the government shutdown. But I really believe that if President Trump, now I'll say this, I wish President Trump would have stood up and set these little toes in their place. Why? What do I mean? Because when it came down to Senator Kennedy, he brought this up. He brought up how, and God, I'm kind of hating that I'm about to say this, Lord. But he brought up how former President Obama back in 2013, when there was a government shutdown, he stated how he set a time frame, basically stating that if Congress did not sign a bill within a certain time frame, they would not receive pay during the government shutdown. What did the Congress do? Oh, they hurried up and came to a decision. Now that I do feel that President Trump should have implemented in this go round, because I think that Democrats, they are trying to play those little kitty games. And when it comes down to the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, Republicans, they are not budging. They're not budging. And that's what I think when it comes down to shout out to train wreck. You mentioned that in the chat. I do feel that President Trump, and adding on to what you're stating, I do feel that President Trump should have set these toes in their place and stated, if you guys I just want you guys to know, if there's a shutdown and this shutdown lasts within this time, none of y'all toes going to get paid. If he would have set the tone on that note, I guarantee you we would not be walking into day 38 of a government shutdown right now. I guarantee you. I really believe it. But thank you guys for coming in. Shout out to everybody in the live. You're listening to Politic Graham. And shout out to Trainwreck 2009. Cosmic says neither side is budging. Yeah, they're not budging, Cosmic. Just Me says the House already passed the bill. The Senate needs to pass the bill. Just Me, listen. I tell you what. Okay. I don't know when they're going to pass this bill. Okay. I really feel that President, just like he putting that gavel down on those tariffs, he putting that gavel down on that mass deportation. I think he should have put that same gavel down with these congressmen. Because look what is happening. They're acting like little kids in a sandbox. And nobody is monitoring these kids. They're just going and having their little way. Why do I say that? They're every day, and you guys know, you guys see it. Every day they're holding mass press conferences, going around on different shows, doing interviews. And in Bernie Sanders' case, he's came out with a whole book. He's making hella money right now. He say, talk to me nice. They're playing like little kids. And when it comes down to, I want people to understand this, when it comes down to President Trump, he has a lot in his lap right now because of the tariffs that he has applied. Now, I'm not going to get into the breakdown because I did do a lot. I don't think people understand because I think people really come for me, but I'm going to just show you guys how when I actually look up things and do my research, because I don't think people, I don't know if Narendra is still in here, but people who remember me from way back, they would remember when I used to do lives like this. I would show it. I would show how I used to have my lives. I'm gonna pull it up because I think people forget. people forget. But I'm just gonna show just a little bit, okay? Just a little bit, okay? Because I think people forget how I used to roll when it came down in these streets. Okay? You see this? This is how I used to roll in these streets. This is how I used to roll. Old fashioned, going back. Research. So when people say, oh, politics, you need to do your research, do this. Okay. So this is what we're working on when it comes down to the conversation about the tariffs. See all that? That's me. See all that? I'm gonna show you the actual, because I think people forget. You see this map? This is how many people in the city of New York voted for Zohran Mamdani. All of that blue. And you see all this purple in Staten Island, Queens. Those were the ones that supported Andrew Cuomo. This is going all the way back in the streets, okay? When it came down, and what you're looking at, this is 17 pages of information that I actually do my research and look up. See, I take it all the way back. Take it all the way back. But I just wanted to show that for people when they say, oh, you don't do your research, you don't know what the heck you're talking about. Literally, one live is 17 pages of information. Oh my goodness, shout out to Joy. Let me highlight Joy. Joy says, I appreciate you, politic. Oh, thank you so much, Joy. I appreciate you. Shout out to Joy. Shout out to Georgia Maniac. Shout out to Cutting Edge. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for the super sticker, Joy. But Joy remembers. Okay, that's why I say with me, look, for people that say politics don't do their research and do all this, you tell me who actually put in the time. Literally, I do 17, 20 pages of research. When I do lives like this, oh, we gets it in. And then not only do I do that, guess what I always say? If you feel the information that I'm speaking about, educate me in the chat. Look, tell me, shut up, PG. I'm gonna educate you right now in the chat. And guess what? I'll shut up and read and listen, and I'll talk about it. That's how I do on this platform. Why? Because on this platform, what do I always say? Without you guys, there is no politic ground. And I think that a lot of congressmen, they have gotten caught up with themselves. They have forgotten about the people. And that's one of the reasons I made, this platform. Oh, thank you so much, Donald. Shout out to Donald. Donald, let me highlight you, Donald. Shout out to Donald. Thank you so much, Donald Andrews. Let me see if I can add you in the banner. Shout out to Donald. Thank you so much for the membership, Donald. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate it. But like I stated, and I want to highlight, make sure I'm going to add you in, Joy, again, Joy. I got to add Joy 2 times. Shout out to Joy. Got to add Joy in 2 times. Shout out to Donald Andrews. Thank you so much, Donald. I appreciate it. And in the meantime, thank you guys for coming in. I am a person of my word. I do highlight. I do add you in the banner. It's going across. Your name will be in this banner for at least a month. A lot of people in the banner, their names are in here. It's been in there for at least 2 months. Look, I support. So I don't need nobody coming on this platform saying I don't support. I support. I appreciate it, Donald. Donald says, gotta highlight you, Donald. Donald says, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Jesme says, New York City, always a terrible place to be under a Democrat. And this is why I say, Zohran Mamdani, he's going to have a lot of shoes to fill in. Donald Andrews says, you speak the truth. I love that. And that's why, look, this is why I tell people, right? I ask you in the chat, right or wrong, for those that come in here, right or wrong, what do I say? If you disagree with what I'm saying, then put it in the chat. Let's have a conversation. But what? Be respectful. Educate me, because I never say I know everything. Nobody knows everything. This is a platform for everyone. Just me, shout out Just Me. Just Me says, does anyone who does not work for the federal government feel anything about the government shutdown? Oh my goodness, cutting edge. Oh my goodness, cutting edge, you're making me shake. Georgia Maniac says, love, happiness to our great moderator, Joy. Shout out to Joy. Cutting Edge. Thank you so much, Cutting Edge. Cutting Edge says, remember, snaps is just a name. This system was used in Russia with the USSR and all failed. Same with Cuba, Nicaragua, Venezuela, and it all ended in communism. Zohran will turn NYC into a communist. Now, this is why I say Mamdani has a lot of shoes to fill in right now. A lot. And I want to say this. I didn't talk too much about it. I never said too much about his parents, right? I never said too much about his father. I never said too much. But people have to understand this. During this time, Zohran Mamdani had been running for mayor. His father had put in a leave of absence as the professor at Columbia University where he works. Why? Because he had been what? You know it. So I didn't say too much because, shout out to Cutting Edge, because look, if they're coming at Mamdani right now like this because of things that he's spoken about, right? People will say, oh, well, his views on a lot of things might be considered what a little bit unrealistic. Some would say, you know, radical, right? This is why I don't know if this gonna I don't know if he's gonna pull this all off, because MAMDANI, he has stated he doesn't want Walmart in the city of New York. Why do I say he said that? Because one of his policies is what? He wants federal ran grocery stores. Why? To help the prices go down when it comes down to groceries. But who is he going to have to reach out and touch? President Trump. And you know, just as well as I know, I don't know if President Trump is going to be, you know, fine with that, as far as, you know, having all these quote unquote federal government grocery stores in the city of New York, when he spoke about Walmart on a good note, even as recently as yesterday. It's not going to happen. So then, guess what? Soon as he won, what did MAMDANI do? He held another press conference the very next day, asking for donations to be put forward for his soon-to-be administration. Just saying. Now, 99 Highlight says, because he's intelligent. I'm not calling nobody out their name. I'm not saying they're not smart. I'm not saying none of that. All I'm saying is Zohran Mamdani is going to have to, he has a lot of shoes to fill in. Because he's been talking all of that smack. Universal child care, universal college, free, free, free. Everybody, if you live in New York City, you riding the bus for free. If you paying rent, we freezing rent on these monkeys. That's what he said. Well, not the monkey part, but then he said, oh, my rule of thumb on this, my policies are going to be the mirror image to New Jersey on how we're going to get the funds. And how does New Jersey do it? They apply more taxes on the top rich corporate. That's what, it all sounds good on paper, right? It sounds good on paper. But the question is, right, is he going to actually be able to do it? Is he? Shout out to Cutting Edge. You got us talking now, Cutting Edge. Going back into the comments, Cutting Edge says, search what's the Muslim Brotherhood is a 100 years plan to conquer the world. This is more bigger than all of us. Jessamy says there was a government grocery store in the USA and in 3 years it went bankrupt. What? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Jessamy, are you serious? I'm finna look this up. Hold on now. Wait a minute. There was a grocery. I'm looking this up as we talk. As look, we're live. Okay. A federal grocery store that went bankrupt. Now, you know I'm looking this up. I'm finna look this up because I just can't. What? Now I'm looking it up. I'm gonna do my research on it. I'm taking note of what's being said in the comments. Denver-based grocery store chain was converted. Looking it up. I'm taking notes on what you're saying, Justine, because I'm like, what? Trainwreck says, we are a melting pot. Yes, that's what makes us great. But they don't have respect to our nation and our history. Try that in another country. Like, whoop, you won't make it far. Shout out to the herbal goddess. What you laughing at, the herbal? Lizzie says, hello, Lizzie Ann. Lizzie Ann says, no, President Trump is doing a great job. Shout out to Lizzie Ann. Donald Andrews says, all the money will move out. Shout out to Donald Andrews. Hello, Jan Winter. Jan Winter, what a name. Just Me says, how long can someone go to college for free? 4, 6, 8, 30 years? And does that include food and rent? Well, see, you see how it doesn't make sense? You see how it doesn't make sense? He's saying universal child care, universal college. Wait a minute. So wait. So how is that going to apply for people who are going to private colleges or private schools, right? Because there is an air traffic controller right now, a gentleman, I have to look his name back up. He made headlines that since he's been in a government shutdown with us all, he stated that he has had to get a job for I think it's DoorDash or Uber. And he stated that his daughter goes to a Catholic private school and she has entered 9th grade. Oh, and the tuition is I think it's $10,000. So when it comes down to parents such as that, how will MAMDANI pay for parents who have their children in school, private school, where tuition is like $10,000 and up a year? See how it doesn't make sense? Just saying. Thank you guys for coming in. Shout out to everybody in the live. Matthew says, let them feel the pain. They made their bed. Now Matthew. Oh my. Mary says, impeach him and lock him up. Whoa. Tell us how you really feel, Mary. Jared says, MAMDANI is full of it. Trainwreck says, we are a Christian nation that respects others' belief. The big difference is they don't respect us and ours. Now, Trainwreck, I think you said that before. But thank you guys for coming in. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Politic Graham. Shout out to everybody in the live. Thank you so much for coming in. C-Rag says, that's the thing. Indians don't realize down south, we all grew up poor. Now they're moving in, buying all the small businesses. It's really sad. Now, I'm not going to say it's just Indians now. Hold up. I'm not going to say it's just Indians, right? Because, see, we can break this all the way down when it comes down to, other nationalities that are coming into these quote unquote low-income neighborhoods, putting up these little chop shop nail shops, these little chop shop beauty salon, beauty supply stores, these little chop shop gas stations, but then they don't want to live. They don't want to live in the communities that they put their little chop shop stores in. And no, it's not just the Indians that's doing this. I want people to understand it, right? It's not just the Indians. Let them know, C-Rag. Okay, thank you for breaking it down, C-Rag. Thank you. Look, you had me for a minute. You had me for a minute, C-Wag, but you came back. You brought it back. Shout out to C-Wag. C-Wag says, Japanese, South Korean, Indians. All right, look, okay, you coming with it. But it's not just them. And look, it's levels to this. Right? But you know what I find so amazing, right? What I find so amazing is how is it that immigrants such as Elon Musk can come in? Wait a minute, hold on. Hold on. Immigrants such as Elon Musk can come in the US, and now he's about to be worth $1 trillion. But then here we are, here a lot of us here in America, we sitting here crying about, wait a minute, we sitting here getting upset, falling for the flim-flam, these so-called politicians, specifically Democrats, they fooling us, talking about, oh, the people need to eat, they need to eat. What? But remember what I said, you got Indians, you got Japanese, you got South Korean, Vietnamese, Hispanic, Africans, Jamaicans, Haitians. Come on now. They all coming over here or already over here, and they are getting their education. They are having successful businesses, and we out here in a line trying to catch a can of big green beans. Come on now. Come on now. We in a line. We standing out there in the cold line trying to catch a can of green beans. But guess what though? These politicians, they're not throwing their checks out for us. They're not holding back from receiving their checks during this government shutdown. But thank you guys for coming in. Shout out to everybody in the live. Now, I got to give a big shout out. Look, you guys showed out today. You guys showed out today. But let me go back into the comments. And you are so welcome, Donald. Let me go back into these comments. I got to give my shout outs. Hello, Roadrunner. Roadrunner says New York won't even be here in 3. Wait a minute, Roadrunner. Don't say New York would just go away. Wait a minute. What? But let me highlight. Just Me says if New York City has $30 minimum wage, the price of goods and groceries and services. That's all you said, Just Me. You didn't say nothing else. Thank you guys for coming in. Shout out to Joy. Dylan says, I want you to make people understand the culture. The Republicans have been trying to get a few Democrats to push a clean CR. It will put everything, will carry on as usual. I think, what are you talking about, Dylan? I think I said, what are you talking about, Dylan? Shout out to Cutting Edge, highlighting Cutting Edge. Cutting Edge says, search what's the Muslim Brotherhood is a 100 years plan to conquer the world. I think I'm behind in the comments. Sorry about that. Let me go on down. Just Me says, most people in the USA are lazy. Woo. Ooh, Just Me now. Wait a minute. Look, I didn't say that now. Look, I didn't say that. Just Me said it, not me. CWAG says Elon Musk is a billionaire from like 5 self-made companies. I can't get mad at him. Look, I can't get mad. Look, I can't get mad at him. But I will say this though, okay? And let me find Dawn. Let me find you, Dawn. I am so behind in the chat. It's not even funny. But thank you guys for coming in. You're listening to Politic Graham. Shout out to everybody in the live. Let me highlight Donald Andrews for becoming a member to the platform. Thank you so much for becoming a member to the platform. And in the meantime, Jessme says everything will go up on a $30 minimum wage. Okay, now I see it. Now I see it. Jessme says I own 3 different businesses and saw thousands of people who are lazy. What? Wait a minute now, Jessme. Now I will say this. I think, and this is what I spoke about when it came down to a lady in Mississippi. She cannot sing, she can't hold not one tune. But I want people to think about it. When it comes down to AI, that's what President Trump was talking about. When it comes down to investing, when it comes down to this AI technology, it's a lady from Mississippi. She just signed a $3 million recording contract off of an AI artist that she made. Okay, that she actually made, and she stated that the only thing that she does is put in the lyrics. She writes lyrics. She copy and paste her lyrics. Once she types it on her MacBook laptop, types it up, copy it, puts it in a database, and tells the app what type of music she wants the lyrics to be applied to. She wants it to be applied to R&B, puts it in if it's a slow R&B, fast R&B, and now she's a millionaire. So I say that to say, a lot of people think that, well, I don't have to do nothing. I can just sit down and start making songs. But everybody can't look. Everybody cannot do that. Look, everybody. Trainwreck says it's not lazy, it's that the government has given them a reason to be. And I absolutely agree. Shout out to Trainwreck. Trainwreck says it's not lazy that the government has given them a reason to be. No one at all should be on SNAP more than 2 years, and that's being generous. If you can't get on your feet in 2 years, it's on you. Shout out to Trainwreck. And so many people have become complacent. Now I will say this now. I'm not saying everybody. Look, now if you are up there, at age, or you have some physical disability, maybe even mental disability, then that's a different case, right? But if you don't apply with, you are physically disabled, you are mentally disabled, you are up there in a certain age where you can't do what you used to do, then those are different sectors. But if you, like a lot of these people I've seen doing these recent interviews, standing in the line, if you in your 20s and all you have to do is just keep your legs closed, get it together. That's on you, as Trainwreck would say. That's on you. Because it makes no sense for a boyfriend and girlfriend to be standing in a line with not one, not two, but 4 kids. All of them are under the age of 5. And they're sitting back talking about, we don't know how we're going to feed our kids. Okay. But thank you guys for coming in. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Politic-Gram. You're listening to Politic-Gram. And we're having a great conversation. Shout out to Cutting Edge. Starting the conversation. But in the meantime, in between time, we do have a live poll. Should President Trump be impeached? And 50% says no, make America great again. He doesn't need to be impeached. 45% says yes, he needs to be impeached. And 5% says, I plead the fifth. It's too early for this. But thank you guys for coming in. On that note, I'm going to have a brief commercial break in between. In the meantime, shout out to Donald Andrews. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Shout out to Georgia Maniac. Shout out to Cutting Edge. Thank you so much. Shout out to Joy. Shout out to Joy. But thank you guys for the support. We will have a brief, I repeat, a brief commercial break. Shout out to Train Wreck. Shout out to Just Me. Shout out to Jared. Shout out to Blue Crab. Thank you guys for coming in. And definitely shout out to C-Wag. But in the meantime, we're going to have a brief commercial break. And you're listening to Politigram.
Stock market as of Friday has hit many record highs.
Will President Trump be impeached?
New York will remain a city of immigrants.
What I'm saying is if everybody over here isn't being paid, members of Congress shouldn't be paid.
Free rent, free buses, right? I feel like I'm at an Oprah Winfrey show. You get a car and you get a car.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Politigram. I told you I wasn't going to be gone too long. But thank you guys for coming in. As always, as I always do, if you guys would be nice before I end this live, it would be very nice. I repeat, very nice. I do have some videos up, recent videos up. If you wouldn't mind taking the time to check them out. Some of these videos are less than 2 minutes. Like I have my most recent video up. It's called Day 37 Shutdown Versus Meltdown. It is 1 minute and 27 seconds. Come on now. Also I have some videos 5 minutes, but my most recent videos, I have one video. It's called Woman Gets Removed from Gold's Gym. It talks about some heavy conversation. That video is 6 minutes, a little over 6 minutes, but like a lot of these videos is less than 5 minutes. If you can go out take your time, it will mean a lot to at least watch one video, comment, or even check out a 20-second short. So if you don't have 1 minute, I know you have 20 seconds. If you can, do you have 20 seconds of your life? But thank you guys for coming in. As always, I always read the quote unquote fair use copyright disclaimer. Now I might come back today. I'm not look, don't hold your breath because there's a lot going on in real life. If you know, you know. As always, I always read the quote unquote fair use copyright disclaimer in the beginning of a live and at the end of a live. And it goes a little something like this. Fair use copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Shout out to Joy. Shout out to Donald Andrews. Shout out to Cutting Edge. Shout out to Georgia Maniac. Shout out to everybody in the live. And as I always do, if you know, you know, I also read the positive words of affirmation as I always do. But thank you guys for coming in. I had a great live. Shout out to everybody. Let me make sure I go back into the comments before I quote unquote read the positive affirmations as I always do. Let me go back into the live. Shout out to everybody. Brandon in Asia. Brandon, do you live in Asia? Let me go back into this live. Brandon in Asia says they don't care what he does. Jessme says impeach all the Democrats who been in charge them with the crime. Not all the Democrats. All the Democrats. I don't know about all the Democrats. Jasmine says, have a great day and blessed weekend. Same here, Jasmine. C-Rag says, give Stormy Daniels her felony. Oh, Brandon, what part of Asia you live in? Shout out to Asia. How you doing, Asia? Shout out to the Asians. Joy Carey says, this is off topic but very funny. Has anyone seen Adam Sandler movie? You don't mess with Zorro. You are lying. Oh, come on. It is really a good comparison of Zorama. What? I'm gonna start taking notes, man. I swear. You guys, I'm gonna take notes. What? Let me take notes. You guys, let me take notes. That's funny. But thank you guys. But Brandon says Philippines, Canadian in Philippines. Whoa, shout out to Canada and shout out to the Philippines. Let's see here. C-Wag says, basically all the world besides South America maybe likes Trump. Europe didn't, but they definitely like him now. Let me write this down. You say Adam Sandler? Let me see a movie called, that's funny, called You Don't Mess with Zoran. Oh my goodness. Don't mess with Zoran. And also I'm going to look up because I think it was just me that brought it up in regards to a grocery store. A federal ran grocery store. I'm going to look that up. Joy Carey says the movie is from 2008. Let me write that down. Shout out to Joy. I bet Adam Sandler is laughing big time now. You know what, Adam Sandler, I'm going to say this about Adam Sandler. One thing I can respect about Adam Sandler, what people don't know about, he does help his comedian peers, comic peers, right? And on the same token, he's just himself. You know, he dresses still sloppy, still the same, down, just dressed down all the time. You know, look, I've never met him though. Look, I've never met him. But Brandon in Asia, how long you been in the Philippines? How long have you been in the Philippines? Shout out to Philippines. Jessamy says state-run store. What state is it? I'm gonna look it up. Look, just me giving me some homework to do. You give me some homework, just me. Hello, Charles. Charles says the definition of insanity is doing something over and over again and expecting a different result. Absolutely right. Who are you calling insane? Who are you calling insane? Cosmic says, I like that Sandler involves his friends and family in all his movies. He cares about the people. Absolutely. You know, it's hard to find that now when it comes down to a lot of people in that world of entertainment. They tend to forget. But thank you guys for coming in. Joy says Adam Sandler is Jewish and helps his fellow comedians. You know, like I said, you know what? Adam, look, I don't think I've ever heard of Adam Sandler being in anything controversial. Like, he's always just been like a cool, just down to earth, laid back person. I'm just being honest. But thank you guys for coming in. Shout out to everybody in the live. Yes, Joy. That's why I'm like, I'm taking notes, Joy. Look, I'm taking notes. Joy says, Politicos, watch the movie trailer. I'm taking notes. Trainwreck says, Dylan, thank you for your service with the utmost respect. This country owes you. I know you disagree, but as you age, we appreciate you and would support money allocated to you. Whoa, did I miss something? Let me go back up. Shout out to Dylan. Let me see. Shout out to Dylan Richardson. My apologies. Dylan Richardson says, I am 50. Lost my left leg in combat. I will never apply for a disability grant. Whoa, Dylan. Shout out to Dylan Richardson. And see, you know, when I see comments like that, oh my goodness. Thank you for your service, Dylan. Thank you so much for your service. I appreciate, like, you know, woo, that was deep. That was a deep comment. Woo. Gotta give big, huge, shout out to Dylan. Dylan says, I teach K9, EOD and weapons and tactics. The K9 work is all commerce. The weapons and tactics are law enforcement only. I do a basic course for civilians. Wow. Dylan, you sound like, you know, this is why I like staying. You know what? This is the only reason I'm still in this particular live we're having right now, because it's like I'm reading more people like Dylan and, you know, coming in like, wow, mind blowing. But thank you so much for your service, Dylan. You know, like, thank you so much. Joy Carey says, anyways, just wanted to add some humor to our day amongst all these serious issues. Yes, you know, that's why, you know, I always say this, right? You know, life is too short, right? Life is too short to worry about things that you don't have control on. And that's what I mentioned, you know, my 6 affirmations, right? Words of affirmations, right? And shout out to Joy. Joy always says it, right? Kindness is contagious, right? And when you do something kind, right? And you do something, you know, for yourself or for somebody else, at the end of the day, it helps you. It helps you. Yes, Bob says, thank you for your service, Dylan. Shout out to Dylan Richardson in the chat. Make sure I highlight that. Shout out to Dylan. Dylan Richardson. Shout out to Dylan. Thank you so much, you guys, for the great live that I had. Cosmic says, Dylan said he lost one leg. Yes, and he says he doesn't even ask for disability. CWAC says, I should have became a Navy SEAL. Trainwreck says, thank you for reading my comment. I was hoping he's seen it. Yes, that's why I'm like, my apologies. Look, I'm sorry, you guys. Look, I'm just like, I get behind in the comments sometimes. And sometimes I don't look at the chat because it'd be some negative stuff. But yes, thank you for your service. And you're welcome, Trainwreck. Thank you for your service, Dylan. In the meantime, in between time, Joy Carey says, we are a military family and support our veterans. Thank you for your service. Dylan says, correct. EOD. Oh, I look. Thank you for saying this. It's certain things I can't say under YouTube guidelines, Dylan. Look, I'm gonna say it the way you said it before. Okay, EOD. Okay, if you know, you know. But thank you guys for coming in. I had a great live. And Dylan, continue making people's day by helping every day what you do. Because I'm telling you right now, the things that you have said that you do on a daily, even though you are no longer in quote unquote active duty, you still are making a difference every day. And I want people in this live to, you know, take Dylan Richardson as an example, right? You know, be something that will help yourself. Do something every day that will help yourself. Not only help yourself, but help someone near, right? And that doesn't take money. All that takes is what? Time. Dylan says, it was my pleasure and privilege. Beautifully said, I need to find a job ASAP, Lord. Beautifully said, look, I'm gonna give you the best advice somebody told me. Your job is in your phone. And I'm so serious. Your job is in your phone. And why do I say that? Because it's a comedian in Georgia. He stated that he says he sees a lot of people walking around on their phone all day. And he said that's what motivated him to start doing skits online, on YouTube, Facebook. And he said because he started doing those skits, he became a successful comedian where he started to tour all around the country. And he even did Netflix. And the person I'm talking about is Country Wayne. So that's why I say, don't just don't wait for something. If you have to do it, find a way no matter what. You have a phone, you're able to listen to this live, listen to me, watch us, make this be an example to say, hey, let me see what I can do on this phone or on this laptop or on this computer. If they don't want to give me a job, I'm gonna make my own job until I can find this job. Until I can get this job. Let me find something I can do on this phone. And when I get this job, now I have a side thing going on my laptop, on my phone. Make something no matter what. And shout out to Art of War. Big hugs to Art of War. Shout out to Art of War. Where you at, Art of War? Art of War says, hey, news lady. I've been away for a while because my mom passed away. Hope you are well. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry, Art of War. My prayers goes out to you. Oh my goodness. My prayers goes out to you, Art of War. I didn't know. Oh my goodness. Oh. My prayers goes out to you, Art of War. Oh. I'm trying not to get Lord, try not to get emotional. And Joy said it best. Yes, I'm so sorry, Art of War. Yes, I'm so sorry too. Prayers goes out to you, Art of War. You no, you don't owe me. Look, when I see you, you make my day. Okay, you don't owe me no excuses. My prayers goes out to you, and I thank you every time you come. I thank you. I thank you for the support, and salute to you too, Art of War. Cosmic says we all need to come together this holiday season and give thanks for our blessings. Step up, do something to help. Volunteer feeding homeless at your local food pantry or delivering food boxes. Shout out to Cosmic. Couldn't have said it better. Shout out to Cosmic for that one. That was a good one. Joy says prayers for my fellow Americans during this uncertain time. Shout out to everybody in the live. Let me go back up. Shout out to Trainwreck. Shout out to Dylan Richardson. Cosmic says Dylan is clearly a strong man. We need more protector men like him. Men need to step up. You weren't told a lot. Yes. Yes. Where are they? Shout out to Art of War. Shout out to everybody in the live. But thank you guys for coming in. I had a great live. In the meantime, in between time, Art of War, I don't want to end on the bad note, but no matter what, Art of War, keep moving forward, and my prayers goes out to you. My prayers goes out to you. Also, as always, I always end the live with the six affirmations, and it goes a little bit something like this. Rule number 1, eliminate the if, focus on the present. Rule number 2, focus on self, not others. Rule number 3, tell yourself, I will learn something new every day. Rule number 4, tell yourself, I will not get upset. I will not get upset at what I don't have control of. And rule number 5, I will advocate for yourself, because if you don't advocate for yourself, who will speak up for you? And rule number 6, don't sweat the small stuff. And thank you guys for coming in. I had a great live, and I will see you guys in the next live. This is Politic Graham. Eric says there's a woman with 6 children I was working on. They caught her. Now she has to pay back $35,000 and lost benefits. Ooh. Joyce says, be the change you want to see. Shout out to Joy Carey. I like that one. Be the change you want to see. Shout out to Joy Carey. But in the meantime, I will see you guys in the next live. Subscribe to the platform. Thank you so much for the super stickers, and hit that notification button. This is Politic Graham. I love you guys. If nobody else tell you, I love